All right. I see we still have a number of people joining, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everyone to today's CPWR webinar titled Lessons from a Contractor, How to Use and Apply CPWR Resources. My name is Jessica Bunting. I'm the CPWR host and tech support for all of these events. Before we get started, I'm just going to go over a few quick things. First, if you are having any technical difficulties, you can email me by responding to the WebEx reminder email that went out, I think, about 15 minutes ago. Or if you're logged in and just having trouble with audio, you can message me via the chat box. If the chat box is not already displayed on your screen, you can get that or the Q&A box to appear at any time by using the small round buttons that appear at the bottom of your screen when you move your mouse. If you are having trouble hearing through your computer speakers at any point, I recommend calling in using your phone instead. You can either switch your audio connection using those buttons, or you can just turn your speakers down and call in with the number on your email. The webinar is being recorded in full. I will automatically email that link to everyone along with a PDF of the slides following today's event. And our advertised presenter, Libby Gilley, actually got called away for travel. So today we will be hearing from Travis Watson. And Travis is the Subcontractor Safety Programs Manager at UCOR. UCOR is a contractor that provides safe, cost-effective, and innovative solutions to support environmental cleanup for the Department of Energy's Office of Environmental Management. UCOR has had a relationship with CPWR for some time now, and they've either utilized or built off of a number of our resources and programs in their efforts to keep workers safe. So I'll hand it over to Travis to tell us a little bit more about their experiences. Thank you, Travis.
All right. Thank you so much, Jessica and CPWR, for not only giving us this opportunity to share our experiences, but for the webinars and the other resources that they provide to each of us. So with that, we'd just like to kind of share what we do out here at UCOR and some of the main aspects of CPWR that we have found a lot of value in and that we try to participate and support. So with that, I'll just kind of start with just real briefly, and this is more for future reference that we included these in the PowerPoint, but kind of what we do. So like Jessica had mentioned, we're one of the prime contractors for environmental management cleanup with the Department of Energy in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. We're located in East Tennessee near Knoxville. We're spread out amongst 3 campuses that are part of the Department of Energy. Our main focus, and those are the 3 sites, kind of give you a general idea of the area. 2 of the sites are active. One's an Oak Ridge National Lab, and the other is the Y-12 National Security Complex, part of the Department of Defense mission. And then the East Tennessee Technology Park, formerly the K-25 gaseous diffusion for uranium enrichment site. So that site is almost completely cleaned up, and we're in the process of trying to turn it over for reindustrialization, which a large portion of it has been, and we're nearing the finish line of having the whole site remediated and ready for full industrialization. So part of our scope of work, it mainly involves the decommissioning and deactivation of these facilities, keeping them in a safe state until we can put them in the prioritization of removing the facilities completely. And a lot of that deals with the waste management, contaminated soils, and while we're in the process of getting them ready, the surveillance and maintenance of those facilities, and then the reindustrialization aspect. And we also have some new construction, and we also provide some continuing operations for liquids and gaseous waste operations at the Oak Ridge National Lab, and then as well as some new capital projects, the building of a National Historic Museum, and then we have some of the landfills that we operate. We are expanding them as well. So we kind of cover the whole breadth of construction industry. So our hazards are pretty much along those lines, not only the major industrial construction hazards, but then also a lot of radiological and chemical hazards, legacy wastes, and with that a lot of asbestos, lead, PCBs, and mercury is one of our greatest challenges right now as well. And this slide right here just demonstrates all the green is what we've demolished over the last, UCOR's had the contract since 2011. UCOR is a teaming partnership of AECOM-led partnership with Jacobs. So two of your larger contractors. And then we have a few more buildings left, and hopefully we'll be completely handing that over in 2020. So this kind of slide just demonstrates that the shared vision is kind of a conglomeration of our customer, the Department of Energy, and then our partnership with the unions. So UCOR has invested a lot of time, and as well as the unions have invested a lot with UCOR on building a relationship so that we can be successful in this mission. So I think that's been the key aspect of our being able to perform safely and efficiently, is that we have a very, very good partnership with our unions. And that's kind of where CPWR really comes in with a lot of our training and resources that we use with our local unions. This is a representation of the companies that are teaming. So UCOR is AECOM, Jacobs, and then RSI provides a lot of the environmental sampling part of the contract. We have a large portion of subcontractors and staff augmentation, and then working with the city and the local government stakeholders. And then you can see we have the United Steelworkers, the Metal Trades Department, and the building trades is a large portion of our craft workforce. So our safety culture is kind of the safety culture that you'll see through some of the CPWR training resources, and it follows along with the DOE, ISMS, the Integrated Safety Management System, which is the three key components are the leadership commitment, our worker engagement, and then organizational learning. So the worker engagement with our unions, and then the organizational learning where CPWR has been a tremendous resource for us. So now to the main part of this discussion that I would like to kind of walk you through. Most of you are probably pretty familiar with the CPWR website. And of course, the best way is to just get on the website and kind of navigate and hit the different topical areas and see what you can find in each. Three of the key areas that we've really used a lot are the research, training, and services. The research, when you open up the research tab, and it's very user friendly. So we've gone to some of the conferences and participated in the Research to Practice, which is a very good resource. This last year we did the Safety Culture and Safety Climate Survey. Previous years we had used a local organization. But the CPWR, with all the different companies that are using it, the larger pool of data, I think was a great resource for us to participate in to kind of see how we lined up with some of the other companies that were participating to get a better gauge of our safety culture amongst our peers. So that's I highly recommend using that resource to kind of see how your safety culture is really developing and growing. The Foundations for Safety Leadership is a great training for frontline supervisors. The Department of Energy has worked with CPWR on these training modules. It's a fabulous, probably one of the better ones I've ever seen. So if you've not gone and looked at the Foundations for Safety Leadership, I would highly recommend that you take a look at it and think about how you can incorporate it into your organization. All the resources are there to be able to use that training. It's got broken down into 4 areas with your primary training materials, train the trainer resource, and then it has additional resources, and then the in Spanish, which is great for our diverse workforce that we have out there for most of the companies. Let's see, a couple of the other items that we've used a lot. I'll just go ahead and jump around to the first item that introduced me to CPWR personally was the stand down to prevent falls in construction. So we participated in it roughly, I guess, about the past 5 years. I got involved pretty heavily about 3 years ago. One of the benefits of that, participating in that program for that week-long initiative in March is we have taken that and grown it into other daily, weekly type initiatives and stand-downs, even outside of fall prevention. We expanded the fall prevention to, instead of elevated falls, into walking is working was a initiative that we kind of developed here at UCOR, dealing with our slips, trips, and falls, since that was one of our main or primary leading causes of events that we have on our jobs. It's just a simple walking across the different facilities, and a lot of them are aging. There's a lot of terrain, as you can imagine, with construction and demolition. So we really took the fall prevention stand down and expanded it and really focused on the smaller, sometimes overlooked issues of how can we improve the simple housekeeping, the stairs, the steps, and all of those items that are common with all of our employees, whether they're the craft in the field or even our office personnel and our administrative and all the additional resources that we use. So I would encourage, when you participate in these programs, to see how you can branch those out further and kind of mirror them with other programs that may be more of an issue or concern for you, so you can kind of mirror those and play off that basic method. Let's see. So there's the breakdown of the different researches. I kind of got ahead of my slides, so I apologize for that. Working in hot weather, that's another good resource. We have a lot of challenges with the temperature extremes, as I imagine a lot of you do as well. And the construction phase database for fatality prevention is a really good resource to use. And part of above on the main page also, if we go back one, there's the news and events. So these webinars are a great resource. We've participated in, I think, a little over 40 of the webinars over the past 3 years. And since they're free and easy to access, and then I think one of the great benefits is that you also have the presentation materials that are accessible afterwards. So, of course, you can take these and use them for your organizations and kind of spread it out to other individuals that aren't able to be on the actual webinar call. So that's a very, very helpful resource that I think more and more companies are starting to do, with allowing their presentation and their materials and processes to be shared across other organizations. And then the publications. So we also extensively use the CPWR website links at the bottom of the page. So if you're on their home page, you can go down to the bottom, and there's several links to hand safety, working safely with silica. Those are 2 that we've used quite a bit of. And then the exposure control database is an interesting site with a lot of good information, especially for industrial hygiene. Then you see the symbol for the fall prevention, stand down. Another one that I've used a lot personally is the Construction Safety and Health Network. So you can do a lot of shared resources. You can submit presentation material to share. It's a great area to go to collaborate. And I think overall with CPWR touching on not only upper management and research and using the universities, NIOSH, and all of these other organizations coming together to collaborate, but then also pulling in the unions and the craft. It's well-rounded with a holistic approach to where you can take all the research and all the ideas and actually get application in the field where you can actually do the research to say, do these ideas that we have and the data that we're looking at, is it actually being able to be applied and used in the field to where there's value added? So we've been able to take hand safety is a very good example of taking very simple concepts and being able to apply them to where we get the value added in the field. So I would highly recommend the Construction Safety and Health Network to look at it, spend some time. Like most of these, it's one of the challenges we all have is trying to find enough time to look at all the resources out there. And with the internet, when we do our searches, there's a plethora of information, and it's really trying to find what information is value and actually from a source that you can trust what the research is behind it and the data that's behind it. And I think that's what CPWR, in my opinion, really provides, kind of a clearinghouse, and then that's just on their website, but then all the other areas that you can get involved in, especially us as safety professionals and other engineers and professionals, there's a plethora of avenues through the CPWR that we can get involved and make a difference in the materials and the items that we use in construction and other industries to improve the safety of our workforce and our projects. So then on to the second link that they have is the training. I kind of alluded a little bit to the Foundation for Safety Leadership, and the Department of Energy has spent a lot of time with the CPWR in developing that program, and so we're rolling it out to all of our workers and then also to our supervisors. So we have different levels of that similar type of training. So we're having really great results, feedback. We do a lot of training in our organization, so we get a lot of feedback normally of it's too much training, or it was the same old training, or we need something that's more value added, or keeps us engaged. And the Foundations for Safety Leadership is one of those training, is one of the trainings that we have gotten positive response from. Of everybody feels like it's a good, engaging training. They all walk away feeling like they've actually come away with tools that they can use in the field, and that it's been very beneficial. So we've had nothing but positive feedback from the Foundations for Safety Leadership, and that's kind of under the DOE Safety Culture link that you can touch on there. So it breaks it down into the teaching guide, the student handouts, and then frequently asked questions as well. Then as you see, there's several other immediate topical areas. But if you go to some of the other links in the CPWR, like at the bottom of the page, the CPWR websites, there's a lot of more training resources, obviously, through those different links that you can use. The A to Z index. So, like most websites, good search engines. The CPWR website is very user-friendly, in my opinion. So the one of the other items I would mention is our president at UCOR, Ken Reuter. He's also on the board of directors for CPWR. So we're very engaged from that aspect as well. And then another item that many of our companies are dealing with is the opioid crisis. So we're very fortunate at UCOR that we have a great health services medical provider, and the lead of our health services, Dr. Prater, he's also on the opioid task force and works with CPWR. So that's been a great benefit for us to reach out to our supervisors, and this is across UCOR from our engineering, administrative staff, all the way down to the craft of how do we better support our family and our coworkers, since the majority of our issues are being fit for duty and what we call mission ready. So that's another thing we've kind of grown from our CPWR experience is how do we take something like the stand down to prevent falls, and how do we use that for some of our other areas. So one application we did on a similar type initiative was our what we call mission ready. So a lot of that deals with fit for duty, being acclimated, and then with the opioid crisis, we realized a big portion of that is, are we mentally ready for work? Since a large portion, almost everyone that we know in our organization has in one way or another been touched by opioids or some other similar methamphetamines or some other drug to one of their family members or a close friend. So we really try to give our employees resources that they can use to work through some of those issues that are outside of work that are brought into work, to make sure that everybody's focused while they're at work and that they're supported and that they can seek help, seek advice with the challenges that were going on outside of work. So Mission Ready is a big initiative we have, so we hope to be able to share some of that very soon. We just started that campaign a couple weeks ago, so we're developing a lot of resources and hope to be able to share that. And we'll probably use the CPWR Construction Safety and Health Network website will be a good place for us to kind of share some of those materials that we're using for that initiative. And then once again, the unions are a critical aspect of our partnering relationship and being able to perform successfully for the Department of Energy. So the plant forces with the metal trades, and then most of our construction pretty much is all building trades now. So we're doing a lot of the actual unions provide a lot of our training, 40-hour HAZWOPER. The local union halls provide a lot of our scaffold training, rigging, and similar types of training initiatives. And then we also have our in-house training as well. And we're also working in the community to help develop some of our younger workforce. So the unions are instrumental in going to a lot of the local schools and local vocational schools, the community colleges, and we're setting up programs to help develop our younger workforce and show them the opportunities that are available with construction and with craft skilled workforce. and we're taking some of the Foundations for Safety leadership and using it in some of this outreach that we're doing with the younger workforce. And Jessica, I think I can open it up for questions if you'd like.
All right. So getting just a couple questions about the resources that Travis has been mentioning, and I will send out links to the individual pieces that he spoke about in the follow-up email for those asking about the Foundations for Safety leadership and some of the other resources. Does anyone have any additional questions for Travis? All right. I think that's it. I don't see any other questions other than people interested in what you were speaking about. And so, again, I will follow up with everyone. And I know we have a success story on the Walking is Working campaign. So maybe, Travis, I'll work with you if there's any additional links that you have for us to share to show what you've been doing. But I will, by the end of this week, I will get that out to everyone. And our main website, if you aren't familiar and you didn't see it in the chat box, is cpwr.com. Very easy to get to, and as Travis showed, pretty easy to navigate. So thank you again, Travis, for reviewing all of this today.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.